With the upcoming kaiju blockbuster Godzilla vs Kong on the horizon, the question has to be asked, who is stronger? Of course, the many major Godzilla fans out there will let you know that there's no way a giant ape stands up to the legendary lizard-like monstrosity. Godzilla has powers and size beyond anyone's wildest imagination. So if this fight were to happen outside of a major motion picture, it's probably safe to say that Godzilla would crush Kong in an instant. But that opens up another line of inquiry. There are so many different versions of Godzilla that have shown up over the years, so which one would be the strongest? What is the strongest version of Godzilla? Since the first Godzilla dropped way back in 1954, there have been a grand total of 36 Godzilla movies released, 32 of them made in Japan and 4 by American studios. That's a lot of Godzilla, don't you think? Now, not every Godzilla movie totally overhauled the design of the legendary monster, meaning that there aren't 36 brand spanking new Godzillas out there. There are quite a few other monsters in the Godzillaverse though, but for today we'll stick to our titular titan. Today we'll do our best to briefly look at a few iterations of Godzilla and then pick the one who could squash the rest of the competition. Wouldn't that be fun, a Godzilla battle royale? Could be a movie, could be a video game, somebody make it happen. But until somebody from Toho decides to officially bring all the different Godzillas together, we'll just have to stick to discussing the implications of such a fight. Right on. It's gonna get sort of weird, especially because of how Godzilla works. See, if we look at how the monster developed over the years, one would likely see that Godzilla tends to get stronger after every movie. Like, it'll struggle against an antagonist for the duration of one flick, and then in the next movie it'll be clear that Godzilla is now a cut above that previous beast. Sure, there will be stronger enemies, but Godzilla knows how to overcome any challenge. That's just how Godzilla do. So as we move along on the Godzilla timeline, we might see a pattern emerging. Try not to focus on the size of the kaiju when discussing strength. Godzilla also has a history of annihilating much larger beasts, which is definitely worth considering. With all that out of the way, let's get into the meat and bones here, the radioactive meat and bones, if you will. Kicking us off at the absolute weakest, we've got Shin Godzilla. It's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but this is a version of Godzilla that is super vulnerable to conventional weaponry for whatever reason. Most Godzillas shrug off human tech like it's nothing and barely break a sweat until an enormous otherworldly threat appears. A lot can tank like 50 nukes too. Shin Godzilla, even though it can evolve super rapidly and might someday become wicked powerful, is just too vulnerable to all sorts of attacks. And in the end, the humans just sort of like put it to sleep. Lots of fun to be had with this design, but let's be honest with ourselves. If any other Godzilla had to fight Shin Godzilla, it would be a bloodbath. Now with that out of the way, let's get to some more solid contenders. Next up in the pecking order is the OG Godzilla, 1954, black and white chaos for days, let's go. Now after discussing how Godzilla powers up after each movie, you could probably see this pick coming. It's not hard to see why, even though it is totally iconic and without it we wouldn't have Godzilla. 1954 is weaker than the rest of the lads. Now we'll jump ahead a little to ensure that we keep the big lad from the next movie in the conversation. There are a few Godzillas between 1954 and Monsterverse, but what can you do? Only so many hours in the day. So the Monsterverse Godzilla, the one featured in King of the Monsters and the upcoming Godzilla vs Kong, is pretty strong. Like, stronger than the Showa era Godzilla by a bit, which is pretty impressive. It managed to defeat Ghidorah after powering up thanks to Mothra and became the de facto leader of the monsters. Like, even after taking on a head-on blast from the Oxygen Destroyer, Godzilla came back and battled it out. What a legend. However, in comparison to Godzillas of days past, this version doesn't quite cut it. Like, let's say Mechagodzilla came to the party. Monsterverse would have zero chance. None. If the Oxygen Destroyer can sideline it for a little while, Mechagodzilla would stomp it out like a poorly built campfire. Sheesh. The thing is, Mechagodzilla isn't even the strongest. Space Godzilla is known to be stronger than both Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. Like, it exists because Godzilla and Biollante DNA were sucked into a black hole. It managed to travel faster than the speed of light in order to battle Godzilla on Earth. If Godzilla and the humans didn't team up to allow for Godzilla to absorb some next level cosmic power, it probably would have been game over pretty easily. Plus, just look at this thing. It's got enormous crystals sprouting from all over its body. Wild. So if Space Godzilla doesn't top the list, then what does? Well, it's gonna be a close call between two of the most insane creatures going. We've got Heisei Godzilla, who ended up absorbing Space Godzilla and becoming what one might call infinitely powerful. It can destroy stars and shoot heat rays that hit a temperature of infinity. It carries enough power to annihilate entire planets. So what's gonna beat it when it's at full power? Well, Godzilla Earth is. Holy smokes, is this Godzilla strong. It can destroy moons, it can wipe out dimensional portals and fight high-dimensional beings. It's off the scales in pretty much every regard except for its size. But even that, coming in at 50 meters, is pretty impressive. There's no stronger Godzilla than Godzilla Earth, although Heisei Godzilla might put up a fight against it if you add some caveats. So there you have it, folks, the strongest version of Godzilla for all to see. I know I skipped a few popular versions of Godzilla in my ranking, but we only have so much time to go through it all. The Godzilla in the upcoming movie is pretty strong, but for now doesn't quite hold a candle to some of the greats. So what do you think? Which Godzilla is the strongest? Did I talk about your favorite Godzilla? Is there anything stronger than Godzilla Earth? Will the Monsterverse Godzilla power up enough to top our list? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more perplexing ones from How Much Money Does Mr. Beast Have? Hawkboys246 says he's in the top 1% but not using the tactics others use, like stonks. You have to wonder why that is though, right? James the Dashan says, what's he hiding in that mustache? Either all of his savings or the secrets of the universe. John Renders says, hey, I just did a video where I visualized in 3D the amount of money he has. What good timing, lol. Let's go, John, keep up the good work. The TX-based wrestling fan 1442 says, nice. And Death-Defying147 says, quick answer, more than me. Yeah, this might be the most common sense answer we've got to date. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.